Hey everybody, today I'm gonna really just kind of give you a few of my thoughts and my opinion about the Enzo bobtail. I really wanted to wait a little bit longer to do this review, but it's actually kind of time sensitive. I'm gonna let you know right up front that I love this knife, and if you were going to just get one of them, I would absolutely get the bobtail. It's only like a half-inch bigger overall, but it's a lot more knife considering. Let me just show you my main issue with this knife. So there you go. It's a really nice knife. Okay. The handle is slightly wider on the bobtail all around. I don't know if it's just a tiny bit, but it makes all the difference. Okay. Trying to line the blades up as much as possible. So trying to get you the most accurate view of this. You probably got like an 1/8 inch wider blade yeah, so this is basically 3/4 wide at its widest point, and this is about an inch wide at its widest point. As far as blades, I'm gonna measure everything exactly for y'all, because nobody's really done a review on this, and there's just a lot of little different measurements people would like to know. So Enzo necker, this is like 2 5/8 on the blade. Okay. And the handle length from kind of the very beginning of this guard to the end of the handle. Okay, I can't measure shit today. What the hell's going on? Okay. We'll call that basically 3.5. Okay, basically 3.5 on that. And at its widest point, this handle is... get that lined up. This is about... I really want to say that's like 7/8. No, actually... I'll call that 15/16. So almost an inch wide at this point. And at its thinnest point, yeah, this is a little less than 3/4. That's like 5/8. So 5/8 and 15/16. Whereas on the bobtail, let's see, from the very beginning of the blade to the tip, that's exactly 3 inches. No more, no less, exactly 3 inches. Okay. At its widest point, we're looking at the slightest hair above an inch wide at this point. The handle is kind of the same deal, that 15/16 right about here. Okay. But when we come down here, it's a little bit wider. On the necker, it's 5/8. We're looking at just a hair under 3/4. And this, from like here to here, these 2 points, the handle's a little wider than on the necker. So as far as in-hand feel, this feels like a substantially larger knife, and it's just a lot nicer to hold. And you could bear down on this handle more, because there's just a little bit more to grab onto. As far as weight and concealability, like if you want to carry one of these to cut boxes all day and stuff like that, and you don't want people having like a titty attack when they see the sheath on your belt, I'll still say this one. But just as far as like the smallest knife that has kind of a full-size feel to it without being bulky or cumbersome, this is the much better knife. Now, what I was going to get into earlier was some of the issues as to why I'm sending this knife back. So when I got it, I was really excited about it. The in-hand feel was good. The factory edge was kind of so-so. I wasn't crazy about it, but I sharpened all my stuff. If you get this one, you absolutely have to put your own choil. This one's kind of old, and it's been through several sharpenings, so that I gotta like retouch up the choil. But it lets you sharpen the very edge of the blade, because from like here to here without the choil, it's really hard to sharpen, because that's where the grind kind of starts. So the choil just lets you address that. And Once you put the choil on and put your preferred edge on it, this is a very awesome knife. So both of these, when I got them, the handles were like a little glossy and a little smooth. So if your hands were wet, they were kind of slippery. But this one, it has more of like a matte feel now, so it's a little more stable in the hand. This one, I was kind of trying to work it in, but then I started noticing more of the little problems. The main issue was there's a very slight gap in the handle scale, and it's so small you might not even see it, but you might be able to see it right on this side. Okay. And once water starts getting in there and stuff, it's just going to be a nightmare because you're going to start rusting out the metal. And yeah, I don't want that. Obviously I could just fill that with epoxy or super glue, but this is a fit and finish problem from the factory, and that needs to be addressed by either that company itself, Enzo, or by the seller I got it from. And it was a reputable seller. It's eCop. I'm sure some of you guys are probably familiar with that seller, but they sell online on eBay. I think they have their own website. But yeah, so we had that gap in the handle scale. Then there was a mark right here. And again, I'm just trying to like find a spot where we could like really see. But right around here, like maybe it slipped on the grinder or something. I don't know. But that's just like a little mark there. And there was another little mark like right on this side, like from here to here. I'm just gonna rotate this so you could kind of see the contrast. But it's just like a spot again where I think as they were chewing everything up, maybe just something slipped, or but it's kind of whatever. And then the tiniest unevenness back here, you see it's like lower on this side. Okay. And then even like the lanyard tube was a little wonky. I don't know. It's like because it's tapered this way, contoured this way, so it's going down this way. So I don't know. I wasn't sure if it was just like an optical illusion, but the lanyard tube on this one kind of looks similar, but it still looks just a hair better. I don't know. And this one didn't have any of the issues that I found on the bobtail. Another thing too, I don't know if you guys could see this, but it looks like there's just like tiny gaps everywhere. Like on the, I'm sure these are like Corby bolts, not pins, but you can just see this whole side has like a gap on it. Like, what the hell? This one, since the handle's black, you wouldn't really be able to see it like a gap anyway, but I mean, this is just a lot cleaner around the entire thing, and I can tell you I don't see a single gap that isn't like where the Corby bolt is shorter than the handle or something. That would be the only way that a gap would appear, because this was just very well done fit and finish wise. And also the factory edge on this one was in fact sharper than the one on this one. Okay, and you've seen the few cut tests that I've done on camera with this one. Like, it'll still cut and it's fine for food, but as far as going through maybe like cardboard boxes and stuff, you might need more of an edge for that. And I don't really have cardboard boxes to test out like that, so sorry, I can't really show you guys that. As far as wood, again, I carry these to cut food, to cut tape, stuff like that. I'm not really, carving like wood nymphs or stuff like that on the go. But the last thing, okay, this sheath, WTF. Listen, it's a very nice sheath, and compared to the old one, yeah, it's a lot bigger, it's a lot more cumbersome, it's quite a bit wider because of this belt loop. And I think they genuinely tried to market this as a like wilderness package, as like a last resort. If this was the only knife you had, it would be secure with the loop over sheath. And I kind of appreciate that, because I actually gravitate toward this style of sheath. Like, I wish I could carry something like this every day and it would be practical. And knowing that I have the fold over in addition to a tight-fitting sheath, I would feel more comfortable about keeping the knife in here. It's a dual carry belt loop, so you could feed the belt through this way, right, and it's horizontal on the belt, and you could feed it vertically with these two notches on the side. It sits a little high vertically, especially with this loop. This one, the necker, sits perfectly with this sheath, but just over time, like taking it on and off the belt, and like if it gets caught on something else, if I'm sitting in a weird spot or whatever, this whole loop is getting a little funky. But this one was wet molded way back when, and I put a zip tie on this part, which did help quite a bit with the retention. But I think this sheath just maybe has kind of its better days behind it. Like, it's still solid, and I'll still use it, but just as far as the retention is not as great, and it can't be perfect forever because, again, the belt loop is attached to the opening of the sheath. So, it's like no matter how stiff I get the sheath, it's always going to get loose right here. So yeah, this sheath is just a little too big, a little too cumbersome for urban EDC. I've seen people cut the sheath, this whole loop off, which is stupid because, one, like if it's in the first 30 days, you can't return the knife because you messed up the sheath. Two, you're going to have this snap there, and honestly, snaps are a little bit of a pain to take off. Three, I would rather, and I tried another knife in here, I would just save this sheath for another knife. Why are you destroying a sheath just to carry that knife? I'm seriously on the verge of getting a Kydex sheath for this, right? I'm just finding somebody that makes the pattern I like and for the way I want to carry it. This one's getting a Kydex sheath. If I ever, get another one of these, I'm definitely getting a Kydex sheath. But yeah, this was just kind of too big for the urban EDC. I still love this knife, but it has to go back for all those little issues, okay? I've worked so I could have the money to buy this and be able to show it off on camera and let you guys know what I thought about it, and I just can't let it slide. It was only 50, actually this one came out to like $63 with tax and everything, so I can't just let it slide for $63. I really can't. It's a really good knife. It is better than this one, and as far as carry, if the bobtail came with this sheath, I would absolutely love this whole combination even more, because as far as weight, they're so identical, it's not even like a step up in weight wise or anything. The only thing is that since the handle is ever so slightly longer, you would have to count for that as far as how high it rides up on the sheath, because this might dig into you. But as far as out of the box mods that you can do to this to make this like the perfect knife right off the bat is the choil, which every knife needs, period. So if the factory doesn't do it, it's because it's more of a budget knife, and it's okay to do that to your own knife. And just round this little end piece off a little bit, because it's not really pointy, but I could see how it would be annoying, especially if this rides higher up on the belt.